You already mentioned that you wrote some songs in Mexico City.
Right.
Did you see the immigration problems that there are between Mexico and USA? Did you experience it there?
Well, not so much in Mexico City, but more so along the border between U.S. and Mexico, whether it be in Texas, California, or Arizona, where I live. It's a big topic, and we're trying to come up with immigration reform right now. And that's an important topic right now for the administration and for the nation. And of course, it's also a global issue. It's happening here in Holland. It happens all around the world.
But have you seen it in daily life?
I've seen it in daily life. I've seen it in the news. I've seen it on my travels. I've seen people in, port towns in Greece sliding through the fence. And the singer and trumpet player in our band, Jacob Valenzuela, wrote a song called Esperanza, which is not on the album, but it's on the outtakes, which will be included in a special edition. And there was someone who was walking from the border through the desert and through the Yaqui Indian reservation to the street where his mom and dad live, and was just asking for help, like maybe a place to rest for the night, a safe place, rather than sleeping on the street. And so Jacob and his family, they helped out this person. He was a young kid who just wanted to work, and I think that it touches all of us in different ways and at different times, and it's, how can you not, notice, and how can you not care? And so as songwriters, I think that it's a strong theme, and it's a really powerful one emotionally, and that is the world in which musicians write. They write about emotions, they write about these human experiences sometimes, and I find that it's still a very valid one, and something that deserves attention.
Okay, and why did you come up with Mexico City as a location?
Well, Sergio Mendoza, the pianist and keyboardist in our band, had been there recently, and he had suggested going there. He had a great contact. We had a place that we could stay at somebody's home and work at their home studio. It was very natural, and it sounded like a great idea. And of course, ironically enough, we have not played that much in Mexico City, and so the idea of getting to spend more time seemed really appealing. Great food, great culture, great music, and we walked away feeling really good and having written a couple of really interesting songs.
Well, you mentioned culture already. Did it also influence the songs, the culture there?
Yeah, somewhat, yeah. I mean, thematically, yes, and musically, there's a couple songs. There's an instrumental song called Coyoacan, named after the neighborhood where we were living when we were down there in Mexico City. And so it kind of brings a bit of spark, a bit of happiness, a little ray of light in some of those songs that are maybe a little darker. And I think just being there and seeing how people work, how they live, really feeling at home there, and being open to any possibilities that might arise from spending time.
Was it a big difference to what you saw there culturally and back home?
There is a big difference. There's a huge population in and around Mexico City. It's massive. It's just, there's things going on constantly. While we were down there, they were still celebrating Easter. It was in April of 2014 when we went and did some work there. 3 a.m. there's fireworks going off, just there's stuff going on all the time. It's a different mindset, it's a different spirit, and it feels good. It was definitely inspiring, and the people are great.
And there was also some songs seemed a little bit influenced by Aztec history, or
Yeah, I don't know. On this album, which songs? Anyone come to mind?
The one with the hard Mexican name.
Coyoacan?
Uh-huh.
Well, that song's an instrumental, so there's no words. It touches on, kind of a traditional Mexican style of music. It's in 6/8. But this record, I didn't feel like there was any lyrical themes that were kind of connecting to, you know, ancient, you know, historical references.
No, because on the lyric sheet there was some notes about Cortez saying something about gold. So I thought maybe it was it was an influence.
Oh, well, I like reading books, and I read this book by Buddy Levy, who wrote about, it's called Conquistadors, and it talks about the story of Hernan Cortez and meeting Montezuma, which is an incredible story, and he actually settled in that town of Coyoacan before he went on further to, you know, go to war against the Aztecs. So for me, it was interesting being in that place and seeing some of the earliest colonial structures and architecture, and thinking about what had gone on there many years ago. And of course, you know, it's, you know, we love history. That's why we love, you know, coming to Europe. There's a lot of it here. But especially in the Americas, I'm very drawn to the history and culture of the Americas, you know, and how it's evolved over thousands of years. It's an interesting place. There's a different energy there, for sure, and especially on the western side of North America. I find it very open, and it, for whatever reason, that place and some of the places in more of the southern hemisphere really resonate with me. I'm moved by the culture, the history.
You already mentioned the collaborations on the album. Which one was the most satisfying for you?
Well, it's hard to say. They're all really satisfying. I mean, each has a unique story and an experience. Some of them were done via the internet, sending tracks to people like Sam Beam and Ben Bridwell. Ben plays in a band called Band of Horses. Sam plays in Iron and Wine. Nico Case, who's a longtime friend, and we played a lot on her records. She was coming through Tucson on a tour with her band, the New Pornographers, and we were lucky enough that she could take a few hours out of her day to come into the studio in Tucson at Wavelab Studio and record some incredible vocals. And it was fun getting to work with her again, but this time on our record. So I think that was a really pivotal moment for me, because I was a bit, you know, shy about asking someone to take time out of their already busy day to come and help us out. But so all of the collaborations, Carla Morrison, Gabby Moreno, Salvador Duran, Nick Urata and Tom Hagerman of Devachka, Amparo Sanchez, Eric Burden, they're all really special and unique. One of the ones I think that was really exciting for me is on the song Falling from the Sky. Ben Bridwell of Band of Horses, I've never met him, so my whole communication was through the email, and it was direct just with he and I. And he was very enthusiastic and very down to earth and very modest about what he contributed. But for me, I was really moved by that. You know, just the fact that he was so direct. We didn't have to go through record companies or management. It was just two individuals sending some music together over the internet, and his performance is really moving. He's got a really high vocal, and he's able to harmonize above my vocal line, and it really tapped into that spirit of a sense of wonder and a sense of openness, and his vocals really soar, and I'm very moved by his performance a lot. So whenever I sing that song, I think of him now. So maybe someday I'll get to meet him in person.
Probably.
I would hope so.
When in the process of writing the album, did you decide on the album title?
Not till the very end.
And
Yeah, the album title usually comes somewhere towards the last half. Sometimes it'll be based on a song title, like The Black Light, Spoke. Not sure if Hot Rail was a song title. It might have been, I'm not sure. But Algiers certainly was. And on this album, it was getting hard. We had a couple different ideas. We had some artwork ideas being sent to us by our friend Ryan Trait. And eventually we kind of settled on Edge of the Sun, just because it seemed to kind of embrace some of the themes and moods that the record embraces. Yeah.
Yes, I read that it could mean that it could be coming from darkness to seeking light,
Mm-hmm.
or being on the edge between, well, darkness and light, I guess. But why does why does this outlook define Calexico?
Well, I think that the band is a very vibrant ensemble. There's a lot of different varieties of instruments and styles and influences. Live, the band is very dynamic. We're known for having really exciting and interesting live shows, engaging. There's a sort of gravitational pull when you see the band in concert. In a lot of the songs, and especially on this record too, there are some darker themes. The characters in the songs are dealing with some issues that there's struggle, there's resistance, there's desperation, there's searching, and there's struggle, and yet at the end there is a sense of reaching a source. You know, the last song on the record is "Follow the River," in which you know, the words, you know, are kind of addressing that there is a way if you follow the river. There's a path, and you know, it just happens that the river is kind of guiding this character to a more positive place. It's symbolic, you know. It could be in someone's own unique experience inside their own personal path that they're having trouble finding. So the title of the album and the artwork on the album work well together, I think, in kind of giving these songs some good reference and giving them, you know, kind of a good framework in which to present the musical experience.
Okay, thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for your questions.